Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and welcome. Alright, as the title suggests here, I'm going to be adding a crosshair to our gun turrets. Running here to the test map. Alright, so what we've done before was create a functional gun turret. So what happens when you left the mouse button is it will fire the cannon. There is no crosshair. There's no way of aiming right now. You can see whenever you hit something, you see the explosion on it. But if you miss, it goes to a certain distance, and then when it reaches that end distance, it will then explode in the air and create flak. So this is our flak cannon, right? So if we're shooting at aircraft or if we're shooting at tanks, we still get the effect one way or the other. Kind of cool, but it'd be nice to have a scope cam. And what I want to do is, when I right click, I want to go into the scope cam and toggle it. And whenever I right click again, I want to come back out of it. You could also do it to where you right click to hold down on it, and then you let go of the right mouse button, it stops. But I'm going to use it as a toggle method. So the crosshair that I'm going to use is one that I have available. And if you go on to my Discord channel, and if you look in BBG demos, scroll up, all you have to do is click on it and then open original. It'll open up your web browser, and all you have to do is just right click and save as. So you can actually save it and use it in whatever project you want. I made it myself. It belongs to me. Same thing with the binocular mask. And that's what it is, actually a mask system. So it's really simple, easy to use. And I've already taken and brought it in here. You can't really see much whenever you have it right there, but it is a texture. It's a PNG file. So I'm going to go into widgets, and I'm going to create a widget blueprint. And I'm just going to call this my scope _W for widget. I'm going to go into it, and it's going to be complicated here. Grab an image, drag it in here, go back to here, find my texture, select it, and then go to my brush settings here under appearance and click this arrow by the image, and it will do that. Then I'm going to go to the anchor and anchor it to full screen. Come back to my offsets and just zero those out. And it will fill the entire screen, and everything will be black. I would leave the opacity to where it is, and that way it blacks out everything. If you wanted to, you could actually change the brush and actually add some opacity to it, but I'm not gonna. I want it to be blacked out. That way you just see the crosshairs and go from there. Alright, so we're going to compile and save. Then we're going to need to go into the blueprint. And for this one, I'm going to use the blueprint for 88, because that's what I'm in right now. So I have my controls, my left mouse button. And now we're going to come down here and add in right mouse button. I'm also going to crosshair on, and we'll go from that. Alright, so we may or may not use that, I'm not sure yet, but when we press the button, we want to create widget. The widget that we want is the scope widget. Owning player, get player controller, and we will use crosshair on here. We're going to set it to, actually we're going to add something in here, which is going to be a flip flop. So when we hit it the first time, it's going to turn it on. Hit it again, we're going to turn it off. Simple enough. And we're going to, from the return value, add to viewport. We don't need a mouse cursor, but we just wanted to create that. And let's go ahead and set this to the on position. So we're setting that variable to be, okay, we are now on. Compost, save, go back to our scope widget, go into our graph. We're going to run the event tick. We're going to cast to, well, 88 is what we're using for right now. I'm not sure if you can use cast to character or not, because it needs to have that variable in it. And get player controller. Yeah, I didn't like that. Get player character. I don't like that either. Just wondering if you can get that. Cast to character. Now we're gonna have to probably do this a different way. Even though we are in 88_BP, it is a pawn. We should be able to reference the pawn, but we need that. Doesn't let try get pawn owner. Get player pawn. Since it is a pawn, hopefully that should work. I like that. Get crosshair on. So we need to get that variable, because if we just turned it off, then we need to detect whether it's on or off. If it is on, we don't want to do anything. If it is off, we want to remove from parent. This will get rid of the widget. Alright, so it's going to be a little bit skewed right now, because we're in the play editor. That's that. I know, it's complicated, takes forever. Right click and it goes away. And there was much rejoicing. So just simple to add it in there. All we did was we created the right mouse button. We added a flip-flop. If we hit it the first time, it's going to create the widget. It's going to add it to the viewport and turn this variable to its on position. And get player controller goes to there, because we are using a player controller. And from here, if we hit the right mouse button again, it sets this the crosshair on to false, which then the event tick inside of the scope is going to cast to our player pawn, get player pawn, and it's going to ask, is crosshair on? If it's false, then we do that. But I want to add a little bit more functionality to it, because if we look at it here and we hit that, we can still see the gun barrel. And it appears to be dead on right now. So let's actually go in here and play in new window. So now if we hit it, the image itself is 1920 by 1080. it appears to be pretty dead on. But let's go ahead and, if we look at our viewport, and this is what our gun looks like, I want to add a second camera in. And we're going to add it also to the barrel. And we are going to call this scope cam. And we need to make sure that it is facing the correct direction for one. And I'm going to move it to the end of the barrel because we don't want to see anything. We also want to scroll down to auto activate and uncheck that. Compile, save. And when we do this, what we need to do is, we can either fit all the code into here, but I'm going to go ahead and just create custom events. And let's see, we'll call this scope cam on. So when we turn the scope cam on, also what we're going to do is, and we could do all this together and then just clean this area up. So that's what I'm actually going to do, is I am going to break this down. So now when we turn the crosshair on, this is what happens. But we're also going to add some other features onto the end of that. And then if we wanted to, we can create a custom event for this as well. Not really going to be necessary because that's all there is to it. But we're going to do it anyway because we're going to have some more code to add in. So custom scope cam off. So when this happens, we're going to do this. So I'm going to get a reference to my scope cam. I'll just double it up. And our regular camera. And I'll do the same thing for up here. Control C and Control V. So we got set up for both. So now when we turn this on, we want to deactivate our regular camera. And then we want to activate this camera, or scope cam. And I'm going to grab those, paste these in here. And here we're going to deactivate our scope cam and activate our regular camera. So if we hit play, everything is normal. Right click, nothing happens because I'm stupid. And we need to run this here. Scope cam on. And from here, scope cam off. So now we can run those two custom events. Now that the brain fart's over with, so normal camera, right click, and see, we're there. We're still getting the muzzle flash. Right click, we go back to normal, everything's still good. But since we're getting our muzzle flash, if you want to eliminate the muzzle flash, you can always push the camera farther forward. I'm not against it. But all you would do is go to your viewport, go to your scope cam, and just push a little bit farther forward. Not going to make that big of a difference. That'll say it. Now, improving functionality on this. I've already done this in another video, to where you can activate the mouse wheel, and what you end up doing is middle mouse button. So when you're using the mouse wheel, in and out, that's a press. Let's see here. Mouse wheel axis. It's probably what we're going to use here. But I've already done a video on this. I'm not going to get into it in this video. But you can actually set up your mouse wheel to actually increase and decrease the zoom level. And what you're doing is modifying your field of view, which I also recommend capping that so that you don't go too far above and too far below. But all you're doing is, with a reference from your camera, all you're doing is set field of view, and in field of view it defaults to 0. So what you'd want to do is actually, with that, whenever you're doing it, you got a float right here. So you could always do a variable, which is default field of view, which is going to be 90, and then you could do a plus or minus depending on which way you actually rotate your mouse wheel. And like I said, I'm sure how to do this in another one using the City Studios Polygon Explorer pack. So if you want to see that, go back and watch that one. If not, if you guys want me to do it again, then we'll save that for Wednesday's video. I would do a whole lot longer video for right now, but this is going to sound terrible, but I made a hell of a dinner tonight, and might have eaten a little bit more than I should have, so I've got a really full belly, and us fat kids, when we get a belly full of food, we're ready for a damn nap. So, let's make sure we save everything, and look at our maps. This is not a public project that I'm working in, but I will show the map that I'm working on so far. It is far from being done. I haven't added any actual terrain to it yet. Still working on the scene. Oh, shit. I guess I should probably change my character back over. Let's see. Let's go back to player base. So yeah, it's using the Polygon War pack. So like that right foot's dragging the ground. This plane didn't quite make a very good landing, and as you can see, some of the crew experienced less than optimal exit strategies from the aircraft. So yeah, there's another one there. Try to figure out what to do for the boundary of the map, and I haven't really totally decided yet. See, just starting to add some foliage. Again, less than optimal exit. Hey, City Studios, your parachute, you kind of need to have the texture solid on both sides, because now when you look up, you can kind of see through the parachute. No bueno. Just the building, there's nothing really in there yet. Just kind of a outhouse behind there. Again, no terrain added in yet. There really isn't going to be much terrain to speak of on this map. But I will go ahead and go to the front lines over here. The whole nature of this map is, I don't know if you can tell in the upper right hand corner the project name, the 502. For those who know anything about me and paid attention to any of my earlier videos of my background and my time in the Army, one of the units that I was in was the 502nd Infantry Division, and it was 6th Battalion, 502nd, and that was in Berlin, Germany. And yes, I will be changing these 88s out for the functional versions after I set the clamp ratio on it so that they can't go down any farther than that, but they can go higher. During the D-Day invasion, everybody always thinks of what? Do you think of storming the beaches on D-Day? Well, that wasn't the only thing that happened, and that was wasn't the only way that troops entered Normandy. Since we have this gun active also, I'll be making this gun enterable and usable since we already have that gun turret working. And you can always do the same thing with the spotlight, make it usable as well. Come over here and use it, and you can actually aim the spotlight if you wanted to, but it's daytime, it's kind of pointless. But yeah, the 502nd Infantry Division during Normandy was, well, still, it's part of the 101st Airborne Division. And during the Normandy invasion, the 502nd Parachute Regiment, or Infantry Division, Parachute Infantry, whatever you want to call them for that, they were dropped into Normandy behind the lines, and one of the mission goals for the 502nd was to actually land at, this is Drop Zone Alpha, and let's get out of here. If you were to look on the map, this is not an exact, because I'm using the City Studios assets and using their roads and everything else too, but this is more or less a smaller variation of the actual map area from Drop Zone Alpha as part of the 502nd. And Drop Zone Alpha, the primary objective here was to clear through hedgerows and so forth and come over and take out a series of gun emplacements and a headquarters. So with this map, you are part of the 502nd, and this is Drop Zone Alpha. The sad crap about D-Day invasion and the 502nd and some of the drop zones, the gliders and the aircraft, the parachute aircraft that they were using, like primarily like the DC-3, C-47s, got a little bit off course, and sadly, one or more aircraft actually greenlit their paratroops to jump, and with the clouds and fog and everything else, they didn't realize that they just sent these poor bastards out over the frickin' English Channel, and all these soldiers parachuted into the English Channel, and with all the kit that they were carrying, their weapons, ammo, their pack, the parachutes, the reserve parachute, all the other stuff, as they're coming down, they hit this water, and that's just so much freaking gear that they couldn't get out of it, and every one of them died. They drowned because some bastard in the airplane didn't stay close enough to the formation and couldn't navigate worth a shit. If you can't use a damn compass, you shouldn't be flying a damn airplane. And unknowingly just said, oh, well, we must be over the drop zone, get out. And greenlit, and the green lamp that comes on in the back of the plane. Oh, it's time for us to go now. And these guys just blindly jumped out, not knowing that they were even over the English Channel either. Others ended up behind enemy lines. Well, they were all behind enemy lines. As with this poor little bastard over here, a number of them were killed and injured as they went into trees, landed on buildings. It was just a really big cluster, and a number of people died because of not being where they were supposed to be. So what I'm doing with this project here is actually creating some of the vibe and the map. And so when I get done with this map, there'll be fog, there'll be AI that's operating these guns over here, and you'll parachute in and land somewhere in this area right here, and you're going to have to figure out where your objective is. You have no compass. You don't know where you're going. You could follow this road. You could follow this road. You can go across the open field, which will be hedgerows going across as well. So, and you won't be able to cross everywhere at the hedgerows. You won't be able to cross at certain areas. So you don't know which way you're supposed to go. And you're just sitting here, well, shit, you know, you come over here and you might be able to scavenge a weapon from this guy because you might have dropped a lot of your gear, whatever, and you have to find your way to your objective, complete your objective before you can actually go on to the next map. Then that might actually be Drop Zone Bravo and Charlie. And as I'm doing this, I will try to incorporate, and I will double research to figure out which unit it was and which drop zone was supposed to be, where they were supposed to be going, and that information. So whenever you're going through the map rotation for level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and so on, when you get to that particular one, you're parachuting out of an airplane and you land in the water and drown and die. And that's to pay homage to those poor troops that didn't know, and they bailed out because they were told to do so. They did what they were supposed to do, and they were told to jump out here. They couldn't see where they were parachuting into until it was far too late. And yeah, it's to pay homage to those guys. One of the things that I've often thought about also is anytime you're playing a World War II based game, you're always playing the Allied side versus those horrible Germans. You know what? I freaking love Germany. I love the German people. Yes, I was an American soldier. Doesn't mean I have to hate them. World War II's been over for a long damn time. It is possible to forgive people. And honestly speaking to the actual frontline soldiers, those guys in the foxholes and trenches and driving the tanks, and yeah, they're just soldiers too. So where's the World War II based games that allow you to play? Yeah, you can play as Russian soldiers, but you're never the Germans unless you're the bad guy. And why always portray the Germans as the bad guys? I know history. I know what happened, but the average frontline soldier wasn't doing that kind of crap. He wasn't killing Jews. He wasn't, doing those horrible things. That frontline soldier was just doing his damn job. Just like those American soldiers. We had no business being in that damn war to begin with. But, you know what? Why not have a World War II based game where you're playing the role of a German soldier and you see the hardships of what they went through? The honest, average soldier. A soldier is a soldier is a soldier. Doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what country you're fighting for, what cause you're fighting for. If you are a friggin' soldier, especially if you're a government-appointed soldier, GI, government issue. Whether you're an American, you're German, you're Russian, you're British, or New Zealand, or Canada. Well, Canada, what did they do during World War II? Yeah, look at the Black Watch Brigade. They were some bad bitches, okay? So, and actually I'm alive right now thanks to Canadian EOD guy. So, yeah, I don't say anything bad about the Canadian military. Look at history. I'll probably do another video on this and quit... get off my soapbox for now, and we're going to go ahead and conclude this video at the 30-minute mark. I want to thank everybody for watching. Love most of you. and not just when it's cold. Thanks, and we will see you guys soon.